Fine, then Vaibhav, I'd request you to start presenting. Acha, so first of all, welcome to the development department. If you don't know what this department is about, I'm gonna explain that this department is about anything that's related to development of software. That means that it includes the development of websites, applications, Android apps, etc. But in this specific year, we are gonna teach you specifically web development. Just because the development department is so diverse and we can't manage teaching you every section of the department, we'll start with web development. And why are we teaching web development? Well, that's because websites, when you actually consider them, they are one of the most portable parts of software. And that's because, first of all, what happens with native applications is it works mostly on a single operating system and has some dependencies that are operating system specific. I'm not regarding anything that's cross platform here, but there's but the advantage of websites is you can modify websites with little effort to work both on mobiles efficiently and as well as as well as computers. This is what the web development department is about. And proceeding with it, we will introduce you to web development shortly. Vaibhav, you will start with the introduction.
So, guys, first of all, I'm Webhuff, your development executive, along with Argo. So, um, let us have a quick introduction. I'm in class 10, and Argo he is in class 9. We will be your executive for the rest of the year. So, let's move on with the slides. Sorry, everyone, that was an issue from my side. I took the issue. So, just for a quick introduction, we are executives. And let's go on with them. There's nothing much, but if you want, you can read it. Orgo has organized hackathon hacks Bangalore and All India like, hackathon in 2021. Yes,
Yeah, I'm
participate.
also Sarkar, one of your development executives. I have been involved in the work in the journey of programming for 2+ years, and in my journey, I have participated in three programming contests. One of them was computer competitive programming, and one of them was hackathons, and another was a game development competition. In all of the three events, I have emerged as a winner, and I've also hosted my own All India Hackathon in 2021. If you don't know what a hackathon is, it is basically a contest where people come together and they compete against each other as in form of teams and build projects that provide solutions to certain global problems. I've also been working I had also worked in an X project of mine, which was Calinx project. And this project dealt with the creation of an open source operating software system. and the operating system was made for people uh, who are more interested in doing the keyboard focused approach of working with a computer. That was my introduction. You can read this slide if you want to know more about it, and I pass it on to Weber.
So I am experienced in HTML, CSS, JS, and several libraries for backend and frontend development, jQuery and Node.js. I participated in several tech events, which include art development, EXhibit 2022, the Create Epic event, and then MindWeb Bytes, a tech quiz. That's part of Logic, our own school's tech event. I've also been a former senior member for the development department last year, 2022-23. So now let's move on to slides. So let's have a brief introduction to the web development.
Now, web development, as it is like a field in programming which deals with the creation of websites like google.com, youtube.com, because at this point, if you are joining from a desktop, you are yourself visiting a website called Google Meet. And I think nobody of you needs a definition of what a website is. Web development may will deal with how to create websites from scratch, from code. And your questions can be that why don't we use something like WordPress or Wix to make our websites? Well, the reason I won't recommend, or the programming community generally doesn't recommend WordPress or Wix, because when you're programming your own website, you will have absolute freedom over your own website, and that will help you gain absolute control over what you want to deliver to the users instead of depending on some components made by somebody else, some other website provider. And by creating websites, you can also be you can have a good interface to programming and building applications that help you execute solutions to the world problems. Now I'll let Vaibhav speak about why you should learn web development.
So is it like visible to everyone properly? Or is there any issue with it? Is it visible properly? Hello?
Right,
Yes.
Jagdish.
Some issue with this. So guys, let's go on with why do we need to learn web development? So if you all can read. So first of all, the evergreen job opens. So in today's world, web development skills are high in demand across industries. By learning web development, you open a world of career opportunities, whether it's working as a freelance web developer, joining a tech company, or even starting your own web development business. This in turn helps to create your portfolio and even help you gain confidence. Second is the problem solving. Web development is a creative field that allows you to design and build interactive websites tailored to your vision. It also requires problem solving skills to overcome challenges during the web development process. Learning web development nurtures both the creative and analytical thinking abilities, which in turn helps you solve any real life or any virtual issues or problems you have. You have entrepreneurial benefits also for that, and that actually comes under like the empowerment, the online presence. In today's interconnected world, having an online presence is very crucial. Knowing web development allows you to create your own website or portfolio, which you can showcase your skills, projects, and achievements. It serves as a digital representation of your personal brand and can help you stand out in a competitive job market. Okay, early skill foundation. This is actually for classes of 7, 8, 9, below 10, who are not aiming for any job or any future now. As in, this is to learn. When you learn web development at such an early age, you have a better foundation than everyone else who are seniors and all who are just planning to learn. You are very early and it helps you to have a better foundation even with a better understanding as you have given more time to it. Okay. We will be having several year-end competitions at the end, and we have our own school's tech fest Logic, in which you, if you show that you have the capability, you will be able to participate and represent your school in those events. There are several hackathons having like there every day there's going on, and you can participate in those and improve your skills. I would like to Orko wanted to add something, or I will pass it on to you.
Yeah, can we proceed to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Acha, so going now, proceeding into a bit about the introduction to what you'll go through. Can we first look at the dev plan before we start the introduction to basic languages? Yeah, so I'm gonna walk you through how the syllabus and the syllabus. We'll try to provide you a PDF by this week explaining what you learn throughout the year. Can we proceed to the phases part? Yeah, so our course will be divided into two phases. One phase is starting from June 25th. That's after most of us have their pre-mid exams over. So that's a safe date because I assume that most people will be up from the exam relief and they won't have any upcoming exams in the near future. So we'll start from that. Our phase one. Phase one may we'll do the basic the basic foundation of web development, that is enriching you in web in how, understanding how the websites work, and an introduction to complete HTML and CSS. You learn HTML and CSS just enough so that you can proceed to learning the higher advanced frameworks. Then comes the basics of JavaScript. Now, why are we teaching you the basics of JavaScript instead of absolute JavaScript? And we'll come to that later. So keep that question in mind. Then we'll divide the department into two parts. And that wouldn't be a distinguishable division because, first of all, you can learn to be a part of both. We won't be assigning any roles to you, but we'll be introducing to you what is front end, back end, and full stack development. And in front end development, it's about a deal. I'm gonna brief it to you. It deals with the looking of the website, the design of the website, and the back end is the functionality of the website. Now we'll be generally telling you that what are you more interested in? Are you interested in individually creating the design, or are you interested in individually going for the functionality or the logical part of it? And of course, many of you, I think most of you will try to get the best of both worlds and get a sharp hand in both design as well as a sharp hand in the logical part. So that's called full stack development, and we'll hold a session about it, explaining it in detail later on. Then what will happen, then comes phase two. Phase 2 will be when your half yearly exams get over. That will be October to November tak. And in phase 2, we'll be having front end and back end classes synchronously. That means in the same week, if we are posting a front end video or a front end class on Saturday, on Sunday we'll hold a back end class. There wouldn't be repeated Saturday Sunday classes, and by the way, your classes will be we'll attempt to keep it mostly in Saturdays and Sundays. And in the phase 2, that's the part where you are actually getting sharper into web development. The front end interested people will learn CSS in detail. They'll learn advanced frameworks like Tailwind CSS, SAS, jQuery, React.js, which is, I think, one of the common words when it comes to learning web development or front end as a whole. And then for the backend developers or the people who are interested in the logical part, we'll dive more into JavaScript, and we learn how we can operate through Node and use Node to explore the other frameworks, that is Express.js, that is used for the server management part. Then we'll go for MongoDB, that's used for the database, and finally we'll host a joint session that will be attended by both of the front end and back end sides, and that will be about Git and GitHub, because they are one of the topics which will help you not only in web development but throughout your development journey. Then the rest of the part will be joint classes. In the joint classes, we will teach you that the front end and the back end people, you guys have learned front end and back end. Now, what should you do? Because front end or back end solely cannot exist as a website. You need to integrate them to create a full-fledged website. That is what we will teach you. Then we'll go for website deployment. How can you actually make people access your website, and what are the modes to do that? Then comes REST APIs. That we'll discuss later. What is APIs along with the course? And one thing I need to tell you, that is, unlike most other courses out there, we would not be teaching classes after class. We wouldn't be taking tutorials after tutorials on how to do this in HTML, how to do this in CSS. We'll be laying the basic foundation for you. That's majorly in phase 1, and most of the phase 2 classes will be happening in the form of projects. Now, Vaibhav, can you scroll down to the projects part? So first of all, phase 1 may we'll make an interior design website with pure HTML CSS when we have mastered it. Then comes our restaurant website. We'll create a portfolio too, but that would come in the phase 2. And phase 1 may we have another project that is a tic-tac-toe. I think all of you know how to play it. And we'll make a web version of this using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the fourth project is a portfolio website. That comes when we learn, this is a front end project, so that comes when we are learning the SAS and Tailwind. Then comes our interesting projects. I think that will interest you most. One is ChatGPT clone, the trendiest thing probably at the end. And we'll learn how to, this will be both for the front end and back end. The front end guys can be designing the UI, and the back end guys will go through how do you actually make the AI function like it does in the website. And at the end of the project, you will see that you have built your own chat GPT. Then comes another front end project, that's responsive website in Tailwind and React. And what this actually does is, this comes at the end of the front end mastery one, the front end mastery course. And what happens here is we will be given several topics, and I will be walking you through how to make it. And this is where we'll majorly learn React. So the main part of React comes right here. And then we create these two are my favorite projects throughout the year. One is a Netflix clone. We are going to make a complete Netflix UI, and a functioning display menu that will that on clicking the websites of the movies you can access the trailers, because we can't access the movies because that's literally piracy. But we'll learn how you can actually integrate those if you ever have to. And then we'll go with an e-commerce website that will be an Amazon clone. I think everybody of you know what Amazon is. You are ordering from it every day, every single day. So Amazon, so we'll make a website that looks exactly like Amazon, functions exactly like Amazon, and has a login system, has everything. And also, by the way, that's not enough. That's not at all enough, because we'll be introducing more projects in the phase two. So there will be more exciting projects too. And this is the favorite part of the course, even for me, and I think for you too. Now I'd hand it over to Vaibhav if he wants to say something.
Yeah. So just a small deal, not a brief, but whatever. So like just a small. Our curriculum covers a wide range of topics, starting from the basics of HTML and CSS, which are the building blocks of any web page. We will then move on to JavaScript, a powerful programming language that allows you to add interactivity and also dynamic functionality to your websites. Additionally, we explore popular frameworks like React and Vue, which enable you to creation of complex and scalable web applications. So, guys, first of all, the project, the need to ensure effective learning, we employ a hands-on approach. Our classes will include a mix of theory and practical exercises, where you will have the opportunity to apply what you have learned. We'll also encourage collaboration and provide you with the necessary resources such as online tutorials, coding challenges, and projects. This will help you enhance your learning experience. Now, guys, we'll always encourage you um, to create projects and try new projects. Like even if you don't know much, with whatever you know, just try and apply it on a project, because learning by a project is much better than learning by, and it's more effective also than when you are learning it by theory. It's like much better than theory. You apply it, you learn more, and then you will understand like what's the need of it. Yeah, so I just said it.
Yeah, I'm going to completely agree with Vaibhav on this point, because programming or web development, as to be specific, deals with actually getting your creativity out and applying it to the website. Because when you go to actually develop real world applications, nobody is going to tell you how you should do it or spoon feed you. But what they will do is they will give you the problem and you have to come with a solution to it, and you will have to know how to creatively execute the solution in the form of a website or an app or something. And the best way you can do is not by remembering code, not by remembering anything, but by solely and majorly doing projects. The more you build projects, the more experience you have in the field of web development. For example, taking an example of my life, when I was starting web development, I had gone through some tutorials for the basic HTML, CSS. Then what I planned, because I was really ambitious to make a clone of a website. Not really a website. I was ambitious to make a clone of my of the Mac OS desktop. If you guys have seen the Mac OS desktop, it was really aesthetic for me, and I wanted to recreate it in the web. And that's how I started my first web development project. And honestly, I knew nothing about CSS and HTML that time. Half of my work was carried by Google, but that's the best part, because one of the crucial parts of programming is you need to learn how to utilize, how to search problems, how to search for solutions in the internet. Because internet is your biggest weapon when you are coming to web development, because nobody, you are going to learn seven frameworks, eight frameworks. So nobody is mad enough to learn every keyword or every piece of code of those eight frameworks, or even a single programming language. You can't learn all the keywords. Nobody is telling you to learn. You are gonna state the problem. You are gonna go to the Google, and you can just input the problem and get the solution ready. But don't blindly copy the solution. You have to understand how the solution works. And when you understand how the solution works, that is where the learning part comes from the projects. I can literally make a project by copying the whole code from the website and pasting it in my project folder. But what will I learn from it? I have to learn from it. So I'll go line by line through what I have copied. I'll try to understand. If I don't understand, I will again search. What does this keyword do? What does this statement mean? What does this specific variable stand for? That you will find in your code itself. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn programming. You don't learn through a hundred of tutorials. That's called the tutorial hell if you don't know. Well, the tutorial hell is a cycle, is a continuous cycle. When your brain is so much attracted towards tutorials and so much attracted towards learning, guided learning, what happens is you start watching so many tutorials at the end of the day, you remember all the keywords. You can't apply the keywords. You can't apply the what you learned into actual projects, actual real world projects. So build projects. That's my only recommendation throughout the course to you, and that is you need to build project throughout the course. And when we teach you Git and GitHub, we'll teach you how to deploy projects, or not deploy projects. That will come later, but how to actually get your projects visible to the fellow developers. And trust me, when you go to this developer community, the developer community is amazing. I was like in the sixth grade when I stepped into the developer community, and I thought that this community was like full of elitists who would like bully me for my age and all. But trust me, if you have the passion to learn, nobody is gonna stop you in this field. Nobody. If there's anybody from the tech club, um, there's surely nobody. Acha, by the way, then following the schedule, we'll be after your half yearlies are over, or before your half yearlies, preferably after the no, sorry, when your annuals are over, or before the annuals, and preferably after the annuals. After the annuals, we'll be hosting a small hackathon type of contest that would be within the tech club, within the members of the tech club. And the thing that we'll be deciding in that, now, the thing that we'll be doing in the hackathon is we'll be providing you a problem and you have to come up with solutions to the problem. And that's basically what you're going to do in your web development journey and create a website through it so that we can understand who learned what. And judging that single hackathon, you will be you will have the golden opportunity to make it into the good books of the whole tech club. That you know these stuff, you have learned this stuff throughout the year, you have been dedicated throughout the year, and now you're rocking your web development journey.
Acha, also one more thing, we will also be having, we will also be selecting members for the senior member post. So guys, you need to just prove your capability on that. We will judge on the basis of that. So
Yeah,
let's
now I think we are done with the course syllabus. Let's go back to the
move
PDF.
on.
Acha, in the same meeting itself, I want to introduce you to the basic languages if you are not introduced to it already somewhere else. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, I want you to forget these terms and first of all take the anatomy of a human body. What is the human body made of? What makes you stand? What makes you stand is your skeleton because the bones make up the structure of your body. So this is similar to what HTML does to your website. A website, Vaibhav, could you open a website like youtube.com, for example? Could we have it?
Yeah, sure. Just yeah, someone is I need to admit.
Yeah, here we have youtube.com. Now look at it. What do you see? There's a search bar on the top of the page. There is an icon showing your profile. There are several components in the website. That is There are nav bars. If you don't know what's a nav bar, it's like the header bar or the navigation bar that has on the left side you'll see. Then there are the videos. Now, how do you think this website was initialized? Well, this website was initialized as such that the developer placed the components orderly, that there should be this website ka body, and website ke body mein there's first of all comes the header mein there's a search bar के पहले there's youtube.com का logo, then comes the microphone icon, then comes the whatever the next icon is, and that's what HTML does. Now, what CSS does is CSS adds beauty to your website. When you are actually coding in HTML, you'll see that an HTML website is pretty raw, very raw. It has no font styles, it has no styling, it has no image, it has no resizing of images, but you can barely imagine a website without CSS and with pure HTML, because that's not something what you see. So CSS is what tells the website, suppose youtube.com, which we have opened already. What it tells is youtube.com को youtube.com का YouTube का जो logo है, you keep it on the left top corner of the website. Search bar center, center top. Then comes the microphone icon beside the search bar. So how do we actually allocate these positions, where which component to go where? Well, that's where CSS comes to use. That's basically CSS. Now, when we are searching something in the website, then what happens is that's when JavaScript comes to use. Well, JavaScript is useful for adding functionality in the website. How the website works, it's all on JavaScript, totally on JavaScript. And the programming language that runs the server, but that's a different topic. And the JavaScript tells that ये button click हुआ, so what will happen? ये button click हुआ, so what will happen? Somebody clicks the search button, what will happen? Somebody clicks the search bar, what will happen? Well, when you are clicking the website, the recommendations come. So that's what anything that's happening in the website with user input or user interaction. That's what JS controls. So that was the introduction to the basic languages. Can we proceed with this line, or do you want to say something, Weber? Add to it.
No, yeah, it's fine. Let's move on. So, guys, now next is how we will take classes. So, classes we have scheduled that will start from 25th June. Classes will be majorly held on YouTube premieres, like in the Tech Club YouTube channel. We'll send you the link in case you don't have it. You will always be notified beforehand about the classes and the timings when they will be premiered. Any doubts during the YouTube classes should be clarified to the executives through personal chats, DMs, WhatsApp. And if we feel that there is the very common, many people are asking the same doubt, the answer is very common, we will just drop an FAQ in the WhatsApp group, so everyone gets the answer at the same time. There's no need for more doubts. So,
Yeah, if you don't know or aren't familiar with the YouTube Premiere system, I think you aren't. And what happens there is we will be posting pre-recorded sessions. Pre-recorded sessions, those won't be live. So if you're asking doubts in the chat, if we aren't present in the chat itself, your doubts won't be cleared. So what I recommend is putting your doubts in our WhatsApp DMs. That can be in DMs of either Webhub or me. Now, if we see that too many people are asking the same doubt, that's suppose how do you install VS Code? I can't install VS Code, and I have this error. And if several people are posting the same error, then what happens? What we'll do from our side is we have the development group. I think all of you are here just because you received the message in the session announcements or development group. In the development group specifically, we'll be posting it as an FAQ or frequently asked question, where we are actually stating the question, stating the problem, and then the solution to it. So that's how you clear your doubts. And And what you have to do is, we'll give you the link of the Tech Club YouTube channel, and you should subscribe to it, because you can choose not to, but I recommend you to get subscribe to it, just because when you're opening YouTube, if there's a class scheduled, then you will know it earlier than the people in WhatsApp, because I will tend to schedule it as a premiere before I'll actually make the announcement in WhatsApp. For example, ये जो 25th June का class होगा, that will be a class on HTML that will teach you the HTML you need, and that class will be held as a YouTube premiere. And then what happens is, in the same channel, we will upload separate sections of the video. That means the video or the session will be the first session specifically will be of 1.5 hours. Now, for your ease of navigation, we will be letting the 1.5 hour session to stay in the YouTube channel. But what we'll also do is, later on, there are separate sections of the video where we are explaining certain parts. Like there's a section where we are explaining why you need web development. The second one, we are explaining that what is HTML. Then the second one, we are doing how to write paragraphs in HTML. So all these sections, which you call which you might also call bookmarks, well, we'll be separating them and giving them as short videos throughout the channel. So if you are subscribing to the channel, you will get literally all of them. And by the way, we'll be handling you a complete playlist. The playlist will consist of the development course material. So development, whatever we are doing, we will focus on that, on uploading to that playlist, because the other departments will also put their recorded sessions or the live sessions ka recording in the YouTube channel. So in case you don't get confused, we will provide you the playlist, and just reviewing the playlist will give you access to all the development videos. In fact, the session you are attending right now, for the people who have missed something, or for the people who have not been able to join, we will be shortly uploading the recording of this session to YouTube. Now that's how we take classes. Let's go to the next slide.
So syllabus.
Acha, syllabus we already discussed. Next one.
This is just finished.
So we are pretty much it with the orientation, and now what we do
I
is
just wanted to add a couple of points.
Acha, fine.
There was something in my mind that when we are planning to do for web development, there's a pretty important point, that is collaboration and teamwork. So when we're doing web development, like web development often involves working in teams, collaborating with designers, content creators, and other developers. So by learning web development, you gain valuable experience in working collaboratively. This improves your communication and teamwork skills as well. You can be the leader or you can be a member of a team. That depends. But it is a lot of help. And also the next point is the independence. I mean, like with web development skills, you have the power to bring your ideas to life independently. You can create your own blog, e-commerce store, or any web application you envision without relying on others to do it for you. This empowerment allows you to have a control over your digital presence and projects, which gains your upper hand from the other members and other people. Yeah, all going back. So
Acha, so now, if Vaibhav has done speaking, we'll we'll proceed to the installation, because that's what we want to cover in the orientation itself, because most people have doubts while setting up the developer environment. A developer environment is basically the set of tools and software you need to get started with web development. So Vaibhav, could you show us how to install VS Code? Just search
yeah,
it up on Google
that's
and
what.
go with it.
So it's very basic. It's just going on and searching for Visual Studio Code. As you can see, the first thing you will get the code.visual. This is a website. You go on download. So now you select according to if you have Mac, you have Linux or whatever you want. You go and you install, like I have Windows, so I have
So,
already installed VS Code. So let's see.
Actually, Weber. Actually, launched the installer once. I need to point out something.
Okay, okay.
For the guys who are installing VS Code probably now or are gonna install, I want to make a note of one thing. Acha, Vaibhav, do you have the this setup wala thing already ready?
No, I don't have it right now.
Acha, so meanwhile when it downloads, I'll then say I will then tell it, and if the download completes during the session, then we can also practically see it. When you are installing VS Code, what you will notice is there's an option while installing VS Code called Add VS Code to Path. There's something, an option like that, and that is an option you must click it. What do you? Okay, the chat is chilling. It doesn't. Huh? Acha. Acha, that's another thing. Yeah. So by the way, VS Code does not work on Android. If you are on an Android, well, first of all, I'd recommend you to do like perform the web development solely on your desktop because Android web programming is kind of pain. And yeah, as I was telling, we have Visual Studio Code mein installer mein there is an option called Add VS Code to Path, and this option you must. It's an absolute must that you should check this option because if you don't check this option, then what happens later is you will find it extremely inconvenient to work with VS Code because VS Code will not properly integrate into your system and you can't even open your folders from in directly in VS Code from your file explorer.
Yeah, it will be done in some time. It's, it's
Yeah, and we'll cover how to install it in detail when it have in the first session itself. So Weber, is it done?
yeah, it's done. Just let me share my
Acha, then
screen.
launch it.
Just a minute.
Bhaiya,
Hmm.
Yeah,
can we install the Visual Studio Code from Microsoft Store?
yeah, you can, you can. If
Yeah,
there's your Visual Studio Code in the Microsoft Store, you can.
Okay,
And
but
okay,
I've tried it. It probably doesn't work very well if we download it from the Microsoft Store.
I mean, I don't have experience in installing it from the Microsoft Store, so I personally don't have any opinions on this. But I think you can simply install it from the
If
website.
it's there, you can do it, but we prefer going to the official
Yeah,
website.
I personally feel it's better to actually do it from the official website because what happens is Microsoft Store is practically another place where the developer actually hosts his software and lets people access it. But
So there's
the
one
main
screen
website is
visible.
always the first place where the official executables will go. So the main updates will go to the main website instead of the Microsoft Store first.
Acha, okay.
Acha.
So see,
Vaibhav?
this is the
So you need to agree to this agreement.
this
Then
this
we'll
is nothing
go
else,
to the
and this
next.
next. Now this is the option, the add to path.
Yeah, there's this option, add to path. I think it's pretty visible. This is what you have to, and I think Webhub, as you already have it installed, you don't need to proceed any further. But
Fine.
this is an option you need to check in your installer. If it's unchecked, then of course you have to check it, and then you can proceed with the installation process.
If you want,
It
just
is
create a
better.
desktop icon and just proceed. And after next, you have this option. Just click install. It will get installed.
Yeah.
Now,
Now can you open Visual Studio Code?
I'm just open. I'm just.
Could you open Visual Studio Code? Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, could you go to the extensions part? Just look where he's going.
you
That's
see that.
the
So,
yeah.
guys, first of all, for web development, we will need a light server. Just search it, and the first one, like with this one. Wait,
The first one by Ritwik Day. That
this
is the server you need. That is the extension you need to install in VS
yes,
Code.
so this one. It's already installed in mine. You just need to install it.
There will be an install option, so you'll just click it and it will install
And
automatically.
this one is an optional one. If you want, you can do it. But I have it. It's just a code formatter, prettier. It's not much required. It's just whenever you save your code, it just organizes it. Like it, it just organizes the code.
Yeah, and the
It's not
reason another reason you don't need it instantaneously just because HTML shifts like VS Code shifts with an already available code formatter for HTML.
yeah. So it's not much
Yeah, so
importance.
it's not that important, and if you have a low specifications wala PC like a weak processor like i3 or Pentium and all, then I'll recommend you not to load up your VS Code with too many extensions. Just the live server is enough. By the way, in brief, live server is an extension that allows you to, without hosting your website, you will be able to see what your website looks like. So you
Wait.
will be
So
able to get a view
let me.
of your website without actually going through the deployment process.
If I can just open
Will
my.
Ryzen 3 processor work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it works for anything. But if you think your computer is kind of laggy or slow, then I'll recommend you don't load up your VS Code with extensions. Just get this live server on extension. Prettier one you can not choose not to install.
Sir, will i5 work?
Yeah, yeah,
Depends on which
anything.
generation, but yes, as long as it's not like I don't know from 2007, it's good to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely fine if it's above a Pentium or above an Athlon. Anything from the Ryzen series or above in the i series, i3, i5, and of course MacBooks, they work completely fine. Acha. So that was our VS Code installation. Now, have you guys? How many of you installed it? Can you raise your hands so I can track?
How many of you have it?
No, we'll figure out the having ones. So a ton of people have installed it. Really quick students, really impressive members. तुम लोग ही देश का भविष्य
So it
बनाओगे.
just whoever hasn't done it, you do it at your home, like after the session ends. And if you have any issue, just DM us.
Yeah, and if you can't, I'll try to post a video on
Post a
YouTube
video.
on how to do it, and we'll also include the installation part in our first class. That's on 25th June after you guys clear off your pre-mids, because we don't want anything clashing with our exams, Schoolka exams, because we know that it will be a load for both you and us.
And
I have a question.
yeah, guys.
Go on.
Will we be like covering AI?
No.
No, we won't be covering it.
We would not be covering AI. Well, there's I think we found the robotics executive here, Soham Nandi. They'll be the ones who are
Any
actually planning to
workshops?
cover AI.
What they?
And if you are wondering why we mentioned ChatGPT, well, what we will do there is we will cover a little bit of how AI works that time, and that will be like 1 or 2 minutes of explanation, but that would be enough for you to actually understand how to integrate AI to your application. And we'll probably just use an API later on. What's an API? You don't need to learn. I will be going on with the course, and then you will be knowing what is an API. Yeah, so now we are pretty much done with the orientation material. Now you guys can ask your doubts.
Yeah. Just speak up on the mic one by one. Just it's fine.
Now you guys who were raising hands before could keep your hands down, and the people who want to ask doubts, please raise your hands.
Okay, so Supratik, what's your Supratik?
There's one doubt in the chat. That's what are some recommended extensions in VS Code? Again, I told you don't load up your code editor with extensions because first of all, one of the primary things that extensions do to your editor is they put some load on it, and that may make your editor slow. Honestly, you don't need much extensions. You can actually do mess around the theming and all. You could install some themes and change it to make your VS Code look fancier. In fact, I'll when you are following the channel of Tech Club, I'll be uploading some videos like VS Code tips and tricks and programmer tips that will be in the format of YouTube Shorts because you guys are fanboying over it for so long now. So we decided to, upload some shorts accordingly, explaining some programmer topics and tips and tricks. So you will know gradually when you are operating more into the world of programming.
Should I
And there
show
was,
the live server
yeah,
thing? Is there any
yeah,
question?
live server is a must. Now there's another one. Do we need a compiler? See,
No.
initially, when we are starting with the course, we primarily need only the live server and the live server extension because we are going to start with the scripting languages. We don't need a compiler right now. In fact, we are going to use JavaScript, which, by the way, is does not involve the work of a compiler. That's more into languages like C, C++, JavaScript, and all. Hey, I mean Java and all. Yeah, Ritwik Day. Acha, there's another one. Aditya Mittal, actually, we did this in robotics class. Yeah, you may. I mean, there are a ton of people who are not in the robotics department and are still present here. So, and Shagnik, again, I clarified already that this doesn't work on Android. But if you want, we could even upload some videos on how can work in Android. That's true. Platforms like Replit, though I don't recommend programming in Android. And yeah, whoever was that? Yeah, the live server extension uses our loopback address. That's why there's a meme that is kind of like the home of web developers. And live server, yes, Eric, you should install it. That's what we discussed in now. There's another thing that is uh, what is the most important language in web development?
Yes.
Well, the thing about web development is web development deals with majorly with a connection between two computers. One is a client. A client is basically a computer where you are operating from. That's personally your computer, and there's a server. The server is a computer where a website is the website you are accessing is stored in the server, and you are when you are actually accessing the website, you are sending a request to the server that please let me inside your website, and the server is further processing and letting you in. So or in the server, when we are learning backend development, there are a ton of languages that you could use for backend development to create the logic. You can use Python, you can use Golang, you can use WebAssembly, you can use many languages apart from
By
JavaScript.
the way,
But
JavaScript is also one of those
I would
languages.
say nowadays one of the Nowadays, one of the most integral parts of web development is JavaScript because nowadays, if you are gonna dive deep into the web development sector, you are gonna find ton of frameworks like React.js, Next.js, Express.js. So there's
Yeah.
always a kind of a JS for everything, and that's why I would say I would actually tell you that JavaScript and Python are the major kings of web development. We can attend DM Jarvis.
Yeah,
We can attend.
you can attend all three departments classes.
Yeah, you could attend both the classes of robotics and web development, and it's the tech club's duty, of course, because there are people in multiple departments that the classes won't overlap with each other. So that's completely on us. We'll manage it, and yeah, you will be able to comfortably attend all the classes. How a computer compilers coded, I think that's more of what robotics department will teach you. I hope
Right.
when you are coming to C and C++. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are in all three departments. No class will overlap. As for offline, our development department, because it deals mainly with software and doesn't orient anything with machine hardware and something that requires offline supervision, we won't be conducting any staybacks. And another reason why we won't be conducting staybacks is because there's yeah just because there's most people won't be able to attend those classes, so I don't want that to have minimum participation or very less participation, and that's why I'm telling everybody in the meeting, and I'll probably I will also leave a message in the group that I want maximum participation from this department, because this department is the department that will help you shine in the programming world by getting creative, by getting a skill that is so much in demand nowadays that the salaries of web development jobs cross around $73,000 in the according to the US shells. Then comes, let's see if we have any other doubts. Post your doubts in the chat.
Will the tech class be held offline? Guys, it will be held online only. Will not be offline. All classes will be online.
Do we have any other doubts? I guess we don't. You can even unmute and speak out your doubts if you want. Somebody asked me in
MS
uh,
Word with the VS Code.
Bhaiya, what is the use of live server extension? We'll come to that in the first class itself when we are actually we use that extension to preview our websites on how it's going to look in deployment. So when we are actually writing our websites, we are writing it in one side, and then we are watching how it actually looks on the other side.
Yeah, it is the same as live because whenever we don't use it, we will have to save it and then we will have to open it back again and refresh it whatever. So this saves us the work of that.
Yeah, then there's Shagnik again with a doubt. That's can we use software to code other software online? Yes,
Yes, we
there
can.
are plenty of software. Like I told you, I will be introducing you to Replit. That's one of the places, and I think Microsoft recently launched VS Code online in the web browser. I don't know how efficient that is, but yeah, we'll be keeping you updated with all of these. There's a lot of stuff in the developer community that you learn about, because developer community just wants one mindset from you, and that mindset is a learner's mindset, a learner's way. Because life is all about learning. The more you'll learn, the more you'll enrich. Is CodePen a good place to practice? Yeah, why not? CodePen is a fantastic way to look at the deployment and put up some websites that can represent your
Yeah, we also have
portfolio, the front end side of it.
like W3 schools are also there. They also have.
Sir, why don't we use TypeScript instead of JavaScript? TypeScript, by the way, people who don't know about TypeScript, TypeScript is a programming language similar to JavaScript, which basically helps you avoid bugs that you often face in JavaScript. The
Yeah.
problem with TypeScript is TypeScript doesn't currently support Node. It supports an alternate framework that's called Deno. We'll come to that. And Deno's support, like the support channels Deno has, is way more limited than JavaScript. So if TypeScript was just, even I am a fan of TypeScript, but if TypeScript was just a bit more developed, we would just go for TypeScript actually. Or if we were, see, JavaScript at this point is at a stage where everybody in the world is using it so much that we can't help but end up in JavaScript whenever we are gonna peek into web development. So, or we could even or we could even teach Python and Golang. But again, JavaScript is like the frameworks integrate with each other too well for that.
Like JavaScript is better for suited like for small scale something, and TypeScript is for better for large scale application, larger
Yeah,
application.
I mean, if you want a heavily performant website, like there's Instagram who's processing a lot of stuff at a point, you have to fuse multiple languages together. Again, you learn it all and again by staying active in the developer community.
TypeScript like supports static typing and also interfaces, but JavaScript does neither of them. So
Yeah, JavaScript is like the one with the developers,
sure, one is
right?
prototyping and one is not. So
The support style. VS Code Web is exactly the copy of the app. But again, VS Code Web does not integrate with your system like an app does. Would you be able to open your folder from your system to an online VS Code? Would you be able to use any system related extensions? For example, you are using something that deals with your CPU performance. You couldn't because that ends up with the requirement of your local hardware. Acha, so are there any other doubts? Because I'm gonna end the meeting in more 5 minutes. JavaScript, typically nowadays every programming language has some historic programming language that's derived from it. But subsets and subsets and supersets, what happens there is what happens there is this thing is yeah, it is more common in the C workflow because there are a ton of supersets of C that includes C++, C hash, etc., etc.
like for example, TypeScript is a superset of JS.
Yeah, yeah, it contains the major components that JavaScript provides, similar to
That's some
JavaScript,
additional
and
features.
it adds some more functionality like static typing. That's a good
Yeah.
example. Any other doubts? I'm gonna end the meeting in 8:20. Again, if we are missing out on some people, then what happens is they can approach us through WhatsApp again, and those doubts we can put in the WhatsApp group, in the common group. Again, you won't be open to discussions in WhatsApp. What you will only receive announcements. So discussion. You can DM us if you have any problems with your developmental work because we are always there for you. That's why executives exist.
Guys, whatever doubt you have, like whatever, at whatever time, just DM us. Just ping us whenever you have any doubt. And
I think Shivansh, now you can stop recording because the
I guess he
main.
had stopped recording long back.
Acha, Vedant Chaudhary, Java versus Python. Let's not go to those debates now. We might offend some very respected people.